Remember, they're going to have a lot of anxiety. They don't know what's going on. They're the second week of ramp up. The next week, they're going to be out in the field. Nobody's communicated with them. That's why we hit them early on that Monday of the second week, so that they don't have that anxiety of not knowing and that ease of mind. So, routinely talk to your physicians. You cannot over-communicate, in my opinion, especially early on in a ramp up. If they don't hear from you, they think that nothing's happening. They just assume the worst, and they assume that, well, nothing, Dan hasn't called me, so it must not have any new key meetings or buildings or anything like that, and that's just going to increase their anxiety. Remember, a lot of these new physicians left buildings, left jobs, right? They left jobs, they came, to Vora. We promised them a certain level of encounters, and now Dan's not calling me, telling me what's going on, and I'm supposed to start next week. You see where that could cause some anxiety for them. Get them involved in the ramp up. That way the ramp up isn't just something that's happening without their knowledge, or that Dan notifies them every now and then. They are intimately involved in the ramp up. And the best way to do that is meet and greets. Okay. Now, careful with the meet and greets. Remember, this is a brand new physician. They can sell themselves, but we're the experts on the program. So if you send them in to do a meet and greet, which is fine, matter of fact, it helps them to see the brick, the mortar, the actual people that they might be working with. Okay, so that's all really good and good to send them in. I know we're not a local, so if you can't do it in person, do it through WebEx. If you can't do it through WebEx, worst case scenario, do a conference call. Somehow be there with your physician. Okay. The reason why it's so important, we still need to be that expert on the program. Although we think on the front end we might have done everything possible and sold it the best way we can, there might be that question that pops up, and you don't want your brand new physician having to feel that when they're prepared for that. They're there to sell themselves in that meet and greet. So make sure that you are there for them during those meet and greets. When I get a new physician, the first thing I do is my market analysis. So if they give me an area that I'm going for, I go to Medicare.gov and I get my foundation. I pull a 50-mile territory radius. I pull it, that's going to give me every facility within that 50-mile radius, but what it's also going to give me is the cities. You wouldn't think that'd be so important, but it is, because the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Care Pathways, which, how is that ranked? By state and city. So now I know every city within that range, and I have every building within a 50-mile radius. So the next thing I do is I go to Care Pathways, go to each city, each facility, and I pull up their bed count. Why? I am now prioritizing my target list. Where am I going to go to get the business? Am I going to spend a lot of time on a 20-bed facility? No. If they're less than 60, I know everybody's territory is a little different. In my world, 120 is a normal size facility. Up north, they have 300, 400 beds, which must be wonderful. But in my area, average is 120 beds. Okay, so anything less than 60, I normally put that on the back burner. I don't forget about them, but I'm going to target 60 and above. Why? Because if I close that building, I want to make sure that my physician's going to be willing to go to it. Because if you only get 1 or 2 encounters, my doctor might say, I don't want to go to this building. It's not worth my time driving there. So why would I spend a ton of time? I need to know that beforehand. If I find out later, I spend a lot of time making phone calls and chasing it down, and I find it's a 20-bed facility. Waste a lot of time and energy, right? So document the bed counts. So Medicare.gov, Care Pathways, and then find out the bed counts, prioritize your target list. Also, learn the facilities, the ownerships, the corporate groups. What I'm doing here is I'm looking for low-hanging fruit, to be honest with you. If we have a group that there's 4 buildings and we're active in one of them, well, I'm absolutely going to use that to my advantage to close the other 3, right? Don't work smart, not hard, right? So if we have any board corporate groups or sister facilities, I love piggybacking off of sister facilities. If there's 10 buildings and we're already in 3 of them, they're all in the same group, well then I can use those DONs and administrators to help me drive business for that new physician that needs business on those other 7. So use your market analysis. If it's a new territory, a lot of times if it's in the same area, your competitor analysis, right? You know who you're dealing with out there. But if it's brand new, like for example, I just inherited Ohio, brand new. What is the first thing I had to do? Who am I competing with out there? So I want to know their strengths and I want to know their weaknesses. Most importantly, their weaknesses. Why? Because I'm looking for cracks. I want to know where I'm going to attack. Okay, so, and I can develop sales strategies based on those weaknesses. Perfect example, Healogics. They do some good stuff out there. They're a major competitor of mine. They own wound centers. They're a major competitor in Florida. Where are their cracks, right? They have a nurse practitioner business model. Thank you. That's helpful, right? So I'm going to attack there first and foremost. They have an EMR system. They have typed notes, but it's not as extensive as what we have, right? Our EMR, all the reports and graphs that we have. So we have them on the data. So that's the second place I'm going to attack. Third place, they don't offer anything in education. So where am I going to go, right? So there's 3 areas. Just because I know their strengths and their weaknesses, now I can exploit them when I go into that sales meeting and they, oh, well, we have Healogics. Oh, okay. Now I know 3 places where I'm going to go to try to get their interest and take that business away from my competitor. So know your competitor analysis. Targeting new buildings, we talked a little bit about the low-hanging fruit. Initial contacts. When I first started sales, I did this all the time. I tried to get everything on that initial contact. I think in sales they call it throwing up all over somebody's desk. Like you sit down there and you just tell them everything you've ever done in your life, that sort of thing. Everything you can offer. When we're calling on the phone, that initial contact, I want to get to the key decision maker. I want to get genuine interest, and I want to get that meeting. Because the chance of closing them on that initial phone call, where I just called them up out of the blue, low percentages, guys, low percentages. I'm not going to close that deal by just calling up and saying, hey, I'm Dan Carlow, come work with Bora, dump that group you've been working with for 5 years. It's not going to happen, right? Make it an easy yes for the person you're trying to talk to. They may not say, you know what, we're going to kick out Healogics that's been here for 5 years, but they will say yes to meeting with me next week for a half hour of their time. That's what I want, because I get in front of them, I will close them, okay? Make it an easy yes for them. If I tried to sell them over the phone and say, give me all your business, do everything, I'm going to get a no, probably hang up on me, okay? But if I make it easy for them to say yes, I have a chance to get in front of them, and that's where I'm going to close the business. And then leverage existing business. We talked a little bit about this already, piggybacking, third-party endorsements. Even if it's not the same group, a lot of these nurses and DONs, they all know each other. They probably all work at the same buildings because of the rotation. If you have a Bora-friendly DON, for example, even if it's not the same group, sometimes they'll tell you, oh, I'm best friends with so-and-so who's the DON at this facility. Use that to your advantage to try to close business as well. And think outside the box, okay? We talked about the sister buildings and corporate-friendly groups. I use my competitors. They're all competing for the same referral source from that hospital, wherever they're getting their business from. And what is the main focus for the skilled nursing facilities? Butts and beds, right? They want people in their beds. So they want that referral. And they're all kind of in competition with one another, and they're all trying to differentiate themselves. Your competitor down the street uses Dr. Salazar. Would you be interested in him coming out and helping your service as well? Helping out your facility as well. It's one way that your competitor is differentiating you from you. You don't have a wound care program, they do. I'm not that blunt about it, but, obviously. But they understand, I don't want that facility down the street to be able to differentiate and have a better wound care program than me. So if they have a wound care doctor, maybe I should talk to Dan too. So use it to your advantage. Also, Center of Excellence. Okay, I use it as a sales tool. Whether it's a new facility or instead of a value add, if there's no Center of Excellence in that county, then I'm going to go to that building and say, don't you want a niche? What is your niche? They probably won't be able to tell me. How about wound care? We can provide that for you. You can become a Center of Excellence in wound management, and no one else around here does that. What would your marketers do with that? All of a sudden, they're listening to me. Okay? So it's not just a value add for our existing buildings, which I think, at the beginning, I used to think of it as a value add for those that are already doing business with us, but it's also a sales tool to go get those new buildings while you're trying to ramp up these doctors.
Dan, what's the response there? I never heard that one before. It's new. Do you have a niche? Would you like to make this your niche? So when you meet a customer, you have to categorize it as what type of customer is this? Is it a nervous person who's scared to say yes? Most of our people are like that, right? They're scared to say yes because that's what gets you in trouble. Saying no is safe. So you have to give them the comfort. Stan says, make it easy for them to say yes by saying, look, you got 10 facilities are doing it, we're the national leader, blah, blah, blah. So you're trying to give them that comfort, that safety to say yes. But there's also other people, there's other customers who want to say yes because they want to do new things. Those are the ones that allowed us to get going in all these new states. When we went in, they were like the ones who said, that's cool and exciting, we'll go with you. So you have to identify your customer as what's their mindset.
It's a little harder by phone. I know a lot of people have to do it all by phone instead of in person. It's a little better to read what type of customer you have when you can sit down across the table and meet with them. But you're right, there are different types.
You should have that conversation. If you're working with Dan, if he's in the field and you're manning the phones and you've got Svi and Jeannie giving you air support, you should have that team discussion to say, what type of customer is this? So we have to adjust our approach because every customer is slightly different. But I want you guys to have that conversation, a brainstorming conversation. What type of customer do we have here? How do we need to engineer on our approach? Because there are so many different types of customers.
No, I agree. You're right. There's so many different personalities that we deal with. Some are very aggressive, like the Kims of the world for Graceman.
And different touch points like you have here. The strategy, so you need to figure out what type of customer and what's your strategy and who's your target. I won't get in the way of the presentation, but look how many targets, that's amazing.
Yeah, most of them we kind of don't think about. We think about the directors of nursing, the administrators, and the wound care nurses, right? Your medical directors, we really should be targeting them more, myself included. Why? Because they're already probably working with our physician in another another facility that we're active in, and a medical director is probably going to have 6 or 7 buildings. So when I talk about that low-hanging fruit, that might be low-hanging fruit, and they probably have the relationship with their doctor already. So all we have to do is harness that, talk to our physicians, say, who's your medical director at this building? What other buildings does he go to? Find that out, and if those aren't currently active in VORA, that's opportunities. It's all about being result-oriented, not task-oriented. That's kind of the difference. I know not everybody here has a sales background. Some are coming from a customer service background, and that's really the difference between sales and customer service. Okay, it's not, okay, I did it. No, it's what did you produce? What did you grow? What did we gain from it? So I made 50 calls, great. How many meetings did you get? How many buildings did you close? That's the sales part of it. And it's almost need to kind of change a little bit as far as how we go about things, because that's really the difference. You have to be persistent. Sometimes I see in Salesforce, a new physician we called a month ago, left a message. That's great, that happens. Did we follow up in 3 days and call them back? No, it's been a month. Well, whoa, you got to circle back. You're going to have to leave messages. You're going to have to leave 5 messages. You're going to have to keep going. That's what sales is you have to keep banging on the door. If they don't say no, they're in play. That's how I do it. If you haven't told me no, and if you say no, I'll kind of respect it. But if you say no, I'll respect it. But if you haven't said no, then you're getting a call from me in 3 days. Okay, don't ignore me. I hate being ignored. So I'll keep calling until they force them into an answer. And remember, if they do say no, a no is just a no for now. What's nice about our DON and our administrative turnover, it only works into our benefit. I gain more buildings by that turnover than I do lose them.